And we are now joined by my colleague from our economy desk, and this is Peter Theory, who will be giving us some interesting updates. And thank you for joining us on the program, Theory. And a lot of action. We did see the opening ceremony, but the stadium seemed to be quite empty.
Yes, Abby, this is an Olympics that's happening during a time like no other. And like you said, the stadiums are empty, and the kind of excitement that we expected is just not there. Comes the Olympics at a time when actually on July 8th, Tokyo and some other parts of Japan were, locked, down. That there is a state of emergency, quite like. And it's quite a different time to be having the Olympics, which is, I think, the epitome of human sporting.
Yeah.
We don't have fans apart from now watching from home. It's not what we expected, but still it's a good thing that the postponement was done and we are still having the 2020 Olympics. It wasn't cancelled altogether. All
right. And this Olympics for Japan, it was literally a game changer. Any country having the privilege of hosting the Olympics, it's a time for economic revival, it's a time for celebration, it's a time for the businesses to experience some interesting turnaround.
Game changer in many ways, Abby. The former Prime Minister, I think the current Prime Minister for Japan said when they won the rights to host the Olympics 8 years ago, that he was actually happier at that moment than he was when he won his seat as Prime Minister. And it was going to be a big thing because many people think or feel that Japan has been in the economic doldrums for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. It's the same as when Tokyo last hosted the Olympics in 1964. They were trying to recover after, Second World War and all that kind of damage. And this was going to be an Olympics in which they re-established themselves. It's said that around 12.6 billion dollars had been, budgeted for these Olympics. It's also said that probably if this Olympics was cancelled altogether, Japan was going to lose more than 41 billion in terms of, tourist, foreign, currencies and.
All right. And looking at the sporting arena, of course, we have the Olympic Village, and over and above that, an economy of the size of Japan is an economy that literally has been performing pretty well. They're a big country when you come to manufacturing. And of course, the pandemic did affect a number of countries differently, considering that manufacturing plants had to slow down on production. And for an economy of the size of Japan, which is literally at a crossroad, because, as you're saying, the Prime Minister and the sentiment among the people in the country was that why wouldn't we postpone the Olympics to allow for us to be ready to have reopened fully so that we have a bigger bang when you look at the big picture?
Yes. It was when it started appearing this thing would not be held, the Olympics would not be held in Tokyo. The other countries whose leaders were suggesting why not bring it right here. And I think that was a factor for Japan to say, no, we are ready. The populace is not that ready. The Tokyo people are not that ready. Polls show that up to 80% of them did not approve of hosting the Olympics in 2021. They were asking, why won't we wait? And there are many of them who feel that they are there have been around 15,000 COVID-19 related deaths in Tokyo, and most of the citizens feel that probably what has helped them is not the government incentives, but that they have taken care of themselves. Now they feel the government is coming to introduce, the COVID-19 to them, much as they have tried as much as possible to avoid getting infected. So yes, it can be argued that probably Japan would have waited a little longer until they had kind of suppressed the pandemic altogether to rebuild. But they have gone ahead with the Olympics, and I think they have put in place a lot of measures, like now the way we have empty stadiums. That is a very good measure. We don't have crowding, and also there have been people from different countries are not allowed entry. Those countries that have a lot of cases, there are countries that are actually in their black book, and I think matches, we are having the Olympics. We couldn't risk losing the Olympics, that is the rights to host the Olympics, and again, not being able to open the industries in a timely manner. One had to go ahead, and I think it was a good idea to hold the Olympics but suppress the, the euphoria, or kind of like limit the attendance.
Interesting. And both you and I, Theory, do know that it is not child's play. When a country has been given the rights to have the Olympics, anyone would seize that opportunity, irrespective of what's happening. Considering the amounts we've just talked about, 12.6 billion US dollars would be lying in jeopardy in the event that they did not host it. But from the action we are seeing, I know the volleyball team, Malkia strikers didn't perform pretty well on the opening match, but there's a lot of positive vibes coming out of Japan, especially from our colleagues, Robinson, Okenye, Rotuno, and not forgetting our very own. And looking into a country post the pandemic, a world post the pandemic, it seems like the sporting action and events industry is likely to do pretty well.
It is, it is. Remember some time last year when football actually was kind of, do you say, extinguished for some time, and nobody was playing football and nobody was watching football. Yeah. And when some teams started playing and they said that there was going to be kind of partial reopening of football stadiums, the people who were in disbelief, like, how can we do that this soon? I mean, we're going to kill everybody, but we have seen football recover, we've seen many sporting activities recover. We had the Safari Rally here the other day, and we've not had any like spike in cases because of that. Anything we will really attribute to the rally itself. And I think that we had the Olympics. The world needed this. I feel the world really needed this. Japan also was looking at it in terms of, let's actually bring back that hope to people that we're not going to lock down everything forever. We are not going to, let's bring this spirit back. Let's show people that life can continue as normal. Let's have some fun. And let's make some money while at it.
All right, let's make some money. I like that closing remark. Well, that is Peter Theory just giving us the lowdown on the Olympic action happening in Tokyo, Japan. And of course, our reporters, Robin Toskin, Robinson Okenye,